Welcome to Rich Thoughts, Poor Jokes, the podcast where meaningful conversations about mental wealth meet a healthy dose of humor. Each week, your hosts, Dr. Roxy Riefkohl-Cook and Dr. Stephanie Ellis, two of Houston's most respected doctors of counseling and psychology, coach you on the path to mental wealth. They will not just inspire, but entertain you while empowering you to elevate your life.
Welcome back to Rich Thoughts, Poor Jokes.
Mostly serious.
Podcast. We're two
psychotherapists
are here to teach you all about
security, freedom, and luxury in every area of your life.
Yes, that. Okay, so we started our work wealth series.
Yeah, work.
And this episode, we want to try to cover and help you identify and hopefully tweak and or fix and or prevent overwhelm and burnout.
And just to tie that real specifically to work wealth, if you have gotten to burnout, you are no longer in work wealth.
Correct.
Very clearly. So let's avoid it. Let's avoid it.
Definitely.
So what does it mean? And here, listeners, just maybe think about how you would answer this question. Give yourself a little bit of language for it. What does it mean to you to be overwhelmed? Right? Like just like what comes up about that. And then maybe you think about it specifically in the work space, but what does that word bring up for you, overwhelmed?
So when I think about it, in day-to-day terms, I think about having more than I can handle, or I'm stretched too thin, or even I feel paralyzed in this moment. I can't move to the next. My plate's too full. I'm out of balance. Can't keep up. But also, you can define it any way. I mean, if you're feeling off, I mean, I feel, and it's not positive, related to work and work stress, then, defining it even yourself.
And so, yeah, any language that works, especially if we're talking about, this is where I want to make the distinction as we talk about overwhelm and burnout, is you're thinking about sort of going up a hill, right? My stress is climbing, it's climbing. I heard some words that you said, I hear them in my office, too many hats, too much work, too few resources, there's this sense of like escalation. It's getting more and more and more and more stressful. Yeah?
Yes. And look, sometimes there really is too much. That's just a thing. We're humans. We are not machines. And that is valid. Mixed with also the fact of some of these things that we're talking about are kind of out of your control too at times. And so we want to make sure that that we say that and recognize that.
Honor it.
We're going to try to help you make some adjustments with things that are, though, some things that you might be able to do to prevent or to change feeling overwhelmed.
Okay, and so overwhelm versus burnout. This is one of those moments where I feel like the culture uses the word burnout in a different way than sort of like research. Employment research, mental health research uses the word burnout. And so when you think about burnout, listeners, sort of what do you think of? Do you think just more of what we said before? Like burnout is the next level of being overwhelmed? I think that's what a lot of people think.
Right.
And then, here's the thing. It's not. It's really, really qualitatively different. And so we want to think maybe as we're getting more and more and more stressed, we get into the overwhelm space. But burnout is almost like coming down the other side of that mountain. It looks and feels really different. So if you'd say a little bit about that.
So, yes, burnout. Burnout in comparison are things like this is total social withdrawal. And again, that could be not just at work where you just don't want people around you, but overall withdrawal, complete fatigue, or a feeling of helplessness, like hopelessness, having physical health issues, okay, having sleep issues, having other mental health issues, can lead into things like depression. And now not only was I feeling exhausted, I really just can't get myself out of bed. That's burnout. And then also taking a look at maybe some other unhealthy things that you're doing to cope, self-medicating in other ways, alcohol, drugs.
Let me make a distinction about that right there. The other things you do to cope. So it's not maybe that you would be doing different things with overwhelm and burnout in terms of your coping. It's that when you're in the overwhelm space, you're using things to cope so that you can work.
That
by the time you have fallen off the burnout cliff, now you're doing those things to cope instead of working.
That.
So
Good
it's like
distinction.
I care. Overwhelm is like there's too much and I still care. And that's why I'm working so hard. And it's why I can't sleep is because I'm thinking about work. And it's why I'm drinking too much is because I'm trying to work more. I'm trying to keep doing it.
Yes.
And then we have fallen off that burnout cliff when we just don't do it anymore. It's like I'm trying to care about work, but I don't.
Good distinction. And so, and again, all of these things can happen in the overwhelm stage, right? Feeling fatigue and wanting some social withdrawal, especially with people at work. But
I need more time to myself so I can work.
Right.
Is different than I used to enjoy being with people, and I don't even enjoy that anymore.
And I'm not going to work possibly at all. Yep. There you go.
Okay, so here's the thing about burnout in the research. If you really get there to the kind of burnout that the research is talking about, actually falling off that cliff, if that is where you are, you just need to call a mental health person right now because the chances that you need to actually change jobs is very high. Coming back off the cliff is nigh impossible.
Yes.
And so that is why we want you to catch all of this stuff beforehand when you're still in the overwhelmed stage because that we can do plenty about.
Definitely.
Right.
And even you individually can make some adjustments to pull yourself out of it in that overwhelm stage. Okay.
So a couple other things to be looking for, difficulty concentrating, forgetfulness. That really feels like forgetfulness or difficulty focusing to you. It's not like, I forgot to go to work today. You know, you really don't know. Some of this stuff is at the subconscious level, right? Forgetting, having trouble focusing. Irritability, that's one of those ones that you can really see it during overwhelm, but you'll see it during burnout too. Impatience with people who don't deserve it, which is different than impatience with people who do deserve it.
Right?
And then there's this one really classic little symptom of burnout that people don't know exists, which is getting suspicious. If you knew that you were working in like a basically safe, kind of thriving sort of place, and you felt that way all along, and now you're suspicious. What's going on? What are these policies? Is my boss out to get me? Are my coworkers talking behind my back? I'm not saying that some people aren't in a work environment where they deserve that, but it's like you've known that all along.
Yes.
It's like, but if you've been traveling this overwhelm curve and then you start feeling suspicious, like, ooh, watch out.
So another level of insecurity that you start to feel.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay, so back to overwhelm, because that's where we can really do some good.
Yes.
Where we can recover. We can recover from it. So let's talk a little bit to back up from that. What can make overwhelm happen in the workplace? What are some of the workplace factors? And specifically, I think let's talk first about stuff our listeners cannot control when your boss is the problem. Because sometimes, friends, your boss is the problem.
Yes. Yes.
And listen, it doesn't mean that you don't have to be the solution if you're going to stay there, but let's just own it sometimes that bosses are the problem, okay? So number one, sometimes they give you too much work. Let's call it excessive workload. Check. That'll do it.
Yes.
Very tight deadlines will contribute to overwhelm. This is a big one. Unclear expectations.
Definitely. Which is why our next episode is going to be all about work communication.
Work communication.
Yep.
Lack of support. And expectation of a work over life balance in the workplace culture.
Yes.
Okay, what else?
Technology overload, which can look different. I mean, it can look, there's many factors to that, right? Some of it is
one of them age?
Yeah. Yes, but that's not one I was thinking of. But definitely one of them is his age, or could be. I was also thinking too many channels, and maybe not even back to the clear expectations of how do we communicate here. We have seen this where there is messaging, texting, emailing. I mean, there's too many channels, and you don't even know how to communicate.
Slack, and there's Teams, and there's GChat, and there's
all the things.
Too many.
Yes. Age. I don't even know some of those things you just said. So also technology overload. Some of this brought on by bosses and supervisors, and some of this brought on by self, which is I've got to check. There's so many coming through. Everybody's emailing, which we are going to talk about later. Everybody's CCing, and it's just complete and total overload. And for ourselves, of course, not giving ourselves permission to shut it off and shut it down.
Or the opposite of that, which is the anxiety that a person would wait 10 or 15 seconds to hear back from you. When almost certainly, if you are not working in an emergency room, probably the building's not going to burn down for at least 10 or 15 minutes. Not trying to scare anybody.
Yeah. Very true. Another thing that can create overwhelm is just an imbalance of power. So if power and responsibility. So we need to look at that. Insufficient resources, that's another one, right? And that can be lack of funding, lack of equipment, lack of personnel, lack of training and support that we need to do our job and do it well. So again, some of these things are out of we know they're out of your control. But again, we're still going to try to get you to communicate well with higher ups, trying to make change if you can, specifically if you need some more resources.
So as we move into that, talking about like what we can do, like even if my boss is the problem, what can I do to be a stellar employee, to have my own, sense of balance, to enjoy my work more, even if I cannot change them. As we get in there, we're going to say some stuff that won't fit everybody's situation, and that's not going to fit everybody's strengths profile necessarily too. So harken back, right, to when we said, what work skills are you confident in? Where are your strengths in terms of personality and communication, in terms of the specific stuff that you have to do at your job, and like your specific areas for, I'm going to just say weaknesses, areas for growth.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Sure.
So just keep that in mind as we talk. Some of these things are going to feel more like, oh, that's definitely in my wheelhouse, and some of them are they won't feel that way.
Excellent. All right. So when you have reached overwhelm, we've already said if you've reached burnout, you probably need to go see someone.
Us.
Yeah. But when you start feeling some of these feelings of being overwhelmed. And so I guess the question is, do you know what to do? Do you know how to make change? And when we talk about this, we're not talking about change for that minute or that day. We're talking about real, sustainable change. So one of the ways that we can feel overwhelmed is if if our own skill set is lacking. Okay, so we know that is one area that we need to look at. And we said in episode 1 that's usually we term that executive functioning skills when we're looking at, what skills do we have that we know will help us to be productive at work.
At work, writ large.
Or at large. You're right.
So for sure, we're talking about if you have individual work skills you don't have that are making your life really difficult, get them. But the skills that will help in any job for you to be more effective are executive functioning skills. I'll throw out a couple of those. Being able to pay attention to the right thing at the right time, being able to do time management, not allowing your emotions to get in the way of your ability to work. Some of those types of things are what we're talking about. And again, I'm so sorry, but I promise we will get there.
We are. We're going to do a whole series on that for you because it is a lot of information and we want to make sure that you can really dig in and take a look at your own executive functioning skills. Okay.
So let's go back to that list of things that might have been a problem that your boss made.
Yes.
And let's start talking about what we can do, even if we weren't the problem, about how we can be the solution.
Love it.
All right. So we said one of the things that maybe happened is your boss gave you too much work. And so, your response to that is, how do I manage the workload I have? That's a big word, actually, to manage the thing. And it might mean a lot of different things depending on where you are. It might mean communicating about the workload you can handle.
Yes.
It might mean if everybody else in your similar position can handle the workload that you guys have, it might mean checking in to see what are they doing that I'm not doing. Have you gotten yourself into slightly the wrong fit? And if you have, you either when your clothes don't fit, you change your clothes or you change your body. What do you do? You either, if it's appropriate for you to ask for different kinds of tasks and to be able to say that in a way that says, here are my areas of strength in a way I would be able to perform for you better. Cool, do that, right? That's changing clothes. But if you can't do that, then you might need some specific skills training or accommodation to be able to manage the workload that you have better.
Definitely.
We said bosses make tight deadlines, right? Sometimes they do.
Yes.
And so, as your question, how many all-nighters is it appropriate for a person to pull in general, regardless of the job they have? This, I know I just put you on the spot. I don't have an answer.
Okay.
I'm just curious what you think.
Yeah. I'm going to say one.
One per year. One all-nighter per year. You heard it here first. That's probably...
But I'm also older, and I cannot function the next day. I'm more mature. I can't.
I honestly, of course, that's one of those things where it's going to be an individual choice, but there's an amount that's too many. And for you, knowing that there's some kind of limited number. You cannot pull an all-nighter all the time. Can you do it occasionally to make one of those tight deadlines? If you like your job, if you like the person who's asking you, if you feel competent in the work, okay, sure.
So do you want to talk about then what do you do if your boss is giving you all these tight deadlines and you don't have enough time to get it all done?
So that's going to, again, one of those things that's going to differ your job to job. If you are in the kind of job that, let's say, is that fast-paced journalism kind of thing, where you're the social media person and you got to be on all the time, and if you're not the second person in the world to have something posted, then you fail, right? You can't treat that. So you're in a triage kind of job. That's an emergency room kind of job, right? When you are on that kind of clock, your work is to be in crisis mode while you're at work. Okay, be in it. Don't try to do other stuff is one thing. So people who are trying to run triage, and run a family health clinic at the same time in their jobs. So that won't work. One solution to that for yourself, or maybe with the support of your team or your immediate supervisor, is to block out your day a little bit differently so that you can do tight deadline stuff during part of the day. Yes. And other backup stuff. Ask if you can get rid of some of your other backup stuff if you're going to be kind of on call all the time. Okay, but I'm going to say the truth to you. Sometimes it's not them, it's you. Right. And so if all your deadlines are tight and nobody thinks they're tight but you, it's you. Yes. Which honestly is better. Yes. Like every single one of these, every time I look at you and say it's you, I want you to feel happy because it means you can do something about it.
Definitely
right?
so.
You have so much more power to change
Changes to be
you
made.
than to change your boss.
That.
Right. So tight deadlines are sometimes in that realm of time management. So give
It
me
is.
3 weeks. Give me 4 weeks. And we'll talk about that more specifically.
Okay.
You and your time management.
Okay.
I think you already touched on kind of the answer to this one. We said the next thing was unclear expectations. And
Yes.
that's going to be it's going to be 2 things. One of them is maybe getting better communication. Right? But sometimes you don't want to be like the high maintenance employee who's like always asking for more and always asking for samples and always asking for an extension on the deadline and always asking the questions. And so sometimes it might be practice working in the gray too. That might be something that we have to learn how to do ourselves.
Okay. I like that.
Not enough support is going to be maybe both of those things too. It's maybe figuring out how to ask for support. A great thing to do here is to figure out what support you need before you ask for it. Don't go to your boss and say, I'm floundering here. Can you just give me some support? They don't know what you need and they don't have time for it.
Right.
I don't even know who your boss is. I'm just telling you, they do not have time to do your personal reflective work. So your request for more support is going to be it's going to go over a lot better if you've already figured out what you need.
Right.
As best you can.
And this we did say is these are things related to our bosses, right? But I have to throw out that sometimes the support will come from a coworker too, right? A peer. And so and maybe looking at that and addressing that before you even go to boss to say, I need support.
Hey, start with you.
Yes.
Is there a self-support? Is there a way you could be supporting yourself better? And then there are all these other levels, right? Are there other people who you could be supporting better, who could be supporting you better?
That.
Before you go all the way up there. Oh, I really like that.
Beautiful. Okay.
And the last one I think that I have is when your job has an expectation that work should be the capital letters in your work-life balance. Well, then we're sort of back to what we talked about last week, which is just life balance.
Yes.
A little bit of setting boundaries. And again, not telling you what they should be. You might have a work boundary that is 15 hours a day. That's not what I'm going to have in my life, but that might be yours and it might really be working fine.
Good. You touched on this earlier, but I think getting training, asking for more training, especially in the area since we were talking about technology, but anything that would bring more confidence for you at work. Asking your boss, can we do some training on this, or can a group of us get together and maybe try to massage this a little bit so that we can feel better about whatever area it is.
And I think we are talking about technology overload, at least as one piece of this. And so I'll tell you, when I was researching about telehealth competence for therapists, and listen, there was a real steep learning curve when COVID happened and everybody went to telehealth, whether they were ready to do it or not.
Yes.
And unfortunately, I don't know who says this or if it's just like an internet thing. Somebody famous, but I think they're like a physical health person, says the magic you're wishing for is probably the hard work you're avoiding. And listen, I kind of hate that guy, whoever he is. I kind of hate you, bro. I just assumed you're a bro. But that was the consensus of the research on telehealth too, was for people, and our jobs are all relational, and we're really, a lot of us are tech avoidant, that the magic was in like make yourself tech competent, even though it sucks.
Yes.
To do it.
That. Okay. Definitely. Controlling what I can control. Really digging in and looking at that. And then also, again, back to communication, if there is something that needs to be spoken to a boss or a higher up that says, this is an area that either I'm not aware of, need more training, or just suck at, whatever. But controlling the things that you can control, and again, requesting resources, but definitely resourcing yourself too, and trying to find things that are going to be helpful to you to do your job, do it better, do it well, and then if you can't, sometimes we have to go to someone else and say, I need some help.
And one of the ways that you might need to resource yourself is sleep.
Yes. That.
I'm going to keep doing that
Definitely.
until we get a sleep series.
Definitely.
Okay, let's talk about just a couple more things that we can do us.
Okay.
That's maybe not just in reaction to some of these common work situations. So one, I know we talk about this all the time. Everybody's got to be tired of us saying the word self-awareness.
Yes.
But what can we do? You guys, what can we do? We aren't with you. We can't be aware of you for you.
Yep.
It's a podcast, so you have to do it yourself.
Yes.
My skills, my personality, my emotions, in the good way and the bad way, right? Tailoring your work experience to the degree that you can tailor the job to you. Awesome. Oh my gosh, that's a luxury. But a lot of people don't have the luxury of being able to tailor the job to them. So how can I tailor myself to the job?
Definitely. If I say to you acceptance, as in maybe it's accepting some things about the job that you're in, what comes up there for you?
I love the word acceptance, but let me define it.
Okay.
So that everybody listening is not rolling their eyes.
Right.
I think the way the word is used in the culture means that it's got some kind of like nice flavor to it.
Yes.
Right. And so I don't do that. Like in the office and stuff, one of the things we might talk about is, let's say, differences between myself and my partner. And so, and this works too, job, friendship, any of this stuff. It's like, what is there about the situation that I can celebrate? Celebrating is the thing we're doing when we are, let's say, noticing a way my partner's different, but enjoying it. Right? The opposite of that is like tolerating. It's like, I'm going to stay in this relationship. I recognize this is a difference between us. I cannot bring myself to feel real jazzy about it. In fact, I feel not great. Okay, well, but I'm still here, so I am tolerating it. People also say that. They say, I won't tolerate it. Yes, you will. You're still there.
Right. So and that actually can fall over into being in a work environment too, right? I mean,
yeah, the things about my job that are awesome, those luxury things,
yes.
This one friend I really have, that's definitely celebration stuff.
Or am I just tolerating?
It's like, I wish it weren't that way.
Yes.
But I'm still here. That's tolerating. Acceptance is the thing that's smack in the middle of there. That's just like, this is, period.
Yes.
Right? I don't feel that much about it. Right? I don't feel good about the fact that it is this way. I don't feel bad about the fact that it is this way. So accepting is just kind of like, here is the job I am in.
Thank you for clarifying that. Okay, so how do we make change? And we talked about not just, change that's, it's kind of like, I think about this too, like with our self-care stuff, right? If you want real change, then it's got to be something that matters. And so, let's look at the things that we know, first off, how change is not going to happen, like real change. Willpower.
Almost everything you know about willpower is a lie. That deserves its own day.
Definitely. How about just ignoring it? No, that doesn't work. Here's one. Job hopping.
Oh, yeah, that changes things for a very, very short amount of time.
Right. And we are not saying that there aren't moments when you need to move jobs. We're not saying that. But if you take a little look at your work history, your resume, and you are moving every 2 months, we might need to
It might be you.
reflect. Okay. That.
But remember, that's great. When it's you, that's great.
Yes.
You can do something about that.
You can.
And can I go back to that acceptance? Because this is not just acceptance like this is the way my job is, but also acceptance like this is who I am. These are, at least right now, the strengths and weaknesses I do have. Right?
Yes.
This is the fit or unfit I do have with this job right now. And if we can accept that, not tolerate it, if we can accept it, if we can do that self-reflective thing that is curious, that's not judgmental, all of a sudden we can take responsibility for how our job is going without feeling shame about how our job is going.
That's yummy.
Okay?
I like it.
That's not what we're about. When we keep saying it's about you, the idea is responsibility, not shame.
That's it. Definitely. What else doesn't work is viewing it, because this falls in the shame category, as a weakness, right? I'm overwhelmed. Something must be wrong with me. I'm just weak. Nope. Withdrawing from support doesn't work.
Never works.
Not seeing options. Like if you just literally are like, this is it, and you're being tunnel vision, and falling over or into dominant ways or defensive ways or things like that. None of that's going to help you with real change and feeling overwhelmed.
Like pushing through it.
Oh, yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Brute force.
That.
Rarely is effective.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so sustainable change.
Yes.
Here it is. We're actually going to tell you something now about how to do the thing. If there's a book that we are going to mention maybe ever on this podcast that people might already have read or seen or heard of, it is Atomic Habits by James Clear. I'm about to say a sort of Atomic Habits kind of thing,
Okay.
but a little bit broader, which is sustainable change happens when the new thing is easier, cheaper, and better than the old thing. The reason, politics aside, that we do not all drive electric cars is because the people who make electric cars did not make them easier to use, better for driving, and cheaper all at the same time. If they did that all at the same time, nothing could have kept everybody from making the switch.
Right.
So what you want to do when things at work are hard is when you're not right in that difficult moment. That's when we use our willpower and our self-awareness to say, how can I make this thing at my job easier, cheaper? In this context, cheaper usually means energy or time, right? So cheaper on like how hard this is for me or cheaper on how long it takes, and better. So do your job better, right? Make it easier for you to do it and make it cheaper, and then set up the world to make that new way very available to you. That's kind of how sustainable change in every area of life happens.
I was going to say, so I was thinking, not just work, all life areas.
But certainly there, certainly at work.
Definitely so. I know we just keep beating this or trying to beat this into you, but self-awareness, be aware. You can't make change until you know what's happening around you. So do some reflection, gather feedback, all different ways that can be done. You can ask people around you that know you, and you start venting over wine with your girlfriends, and you're talking about your work environment and what this looks like. Again, whether that's in an office, whether that's at home, raising your kids, whatever it is, but somebody that would give you some honest feedback. If you don't have that with friendships, which I hope you do, or with work and work colleagues or bosses that you actually trust, that the information they're giving you is real and true, not just fluffy, then find someone, another professional, a consultant, a coach, a mentor, a therapist that can help you when you're feeling overwhelmed.
I'm so glad for you to remember to bring in other people, because we do harp on self-awareness and it is absolutely non-negotiable. But we also have our own kind of blind spots for stuff. And so not only can other people maybe give us good feedback, they just might actually have ideas. They might actually have a way of doing something that not only works better for them, but might work better for you too.
Absolutely.
And which brings us to like creative trial and error. You will not almost certainly be able to like get into a deep meditative trance and somehow from the depths of the collective unconscious figure out how to make your work life suddenly better. You're almost certainly going to have to
identify. Do, and you can figure that out, please
drop it in the comments.
Definitely. Okay, so what do you do if you can't do that?
So we do use that self-awareness and this information that we get from other people to identify small areas where we might be able to make stuff easier, cheaper, and better, and then try it.
Yes.
Try it, and try it small to start with, because, you know, most of it's not going to work great. Right. Some things are going to be better. Sometimes it's not going to work as well. Sometimes it's going to kind of be a wash. But the trial and error is a necessary step in the process.
Absolutely. Let me just throw out a couple and see how this fits for trial and error. Try to only check your email from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Ooh.
I'll raise you. Try to check your email only the first 10 minutes of every hour.
Ooh. I like that. I like that a lot.
Maybe you have
That's
the job.
Way better.
Maybe you have the job where you need to do it in the first 10 minutes.
Right.
And also like the 30 to 39.
That's it.
Minutes of every hour. I don't know what your job is like, but my guess is, listen, this is something that we will talk about more when we get into the executive functioning stuff, but they're just, multitasking just isn't real. And so when you have your email up and it can ding any moment, part of your mental resources are over there.
Yes.
Which means you're not getting that much done.
Certainly. Here's another one. Try to set a boundary that says, I won't be able to get this report back to you tomorrow because I am going to my child's game, or fill in the blank. Again, communication, which we're going to help you and help you get into to do it and do it well.
Okay, I'll raise you.
Okay.
It seems like we planned this, but we didn't, and I love it.
It's
okay,
good.
here I'm going to raise you. It goes like this. Don't give a reason and see what happens. Okay, or if you say, I won't be able to get this to you, and your boss says, you'd better be able to get it to me, say, okay, I will absolutely rearrange my life tonight to make sure that you have this tomorrow. But after I turn it in, I'd like for us to meet and talk about how I can manage my time differently.
I like that a lot. Better. Okay, are we ready for some crown jewels?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Here we go. Crown jewel number 1. Take responsibility, but don't shame yourself.
You know, I want to flesh that out, but I'm just going to try to remember. Let's just do it over the next couple of weeks.
Yes.
That's so important. I love it so much.
Yes.
Responsibility, not shame.
It's a big one.
Yeah. All right. Crown jewel number 2. It's creativity plus trial and error that is going to find you the magic.
Definitely.
Okay.
Thank you for listening today. We hope you'll join us next week. We're going to talk about communication in the workplace. Super important.
If you really wanted to, or if you never have, go back and check out our series that we did on communication. Chances are very high that we're going to reference stuff from that as if you've already heard it.
Definitely so. Please subscribe and like and share this podcast. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to Rich Thoughts, Poor Jokes. We hope today's episode offered insight or possibility, a new perspective on your mental wealth journey. Tune in next week for more strategies to drive success. Please consider subscribing or sharing this episode with someone else, because your mental wealth matters, and a few rich thoughts and poor jokes can help you live with abundance.